Hello and welcome back to this Library of Ruina series. In this video, we'll be taking on the Thumb Syndicate episode 2. Like the Leo Association, this reception gives us some strong new tools, so let's get started. The Thumb Syndicate episode 2 is a 3-act 4v4 reception, with the first act pitting you against 3 generic Thumb Soldados and Dennis. This act is very similar to episode 1, as Dennis is only marginally stronger than the generic Thumb Soldados. He has all of their passives and 2 additional ones. The first one is Pierce Mastery, which just boosts Pierce dice by 1 power. The other one is Additional Supplies, which gives an ammo card for every 3 ammo the user exhausts. His deck is also almost identical to the generic Soldados, with one exception being Summary Judgement, which is exclusive to Dennis, Katriel, and Kalo. This is a 2-cost melee page that, on use, discards the lowest light cost page to give all dice 1 power. It has an alright evade on 1, a mediocre slash on 2, and a very strong pierce on 3. Compared to Faint Memories, its roll range is 0.33 higher, but it has more power in the offensive dice. For this act, as long as you're mitigating the damage you take from focus fire and clashing into as many pages as you can, you shouldn't have an issue. The second act is against 3 generic Soldados and Boris, who only uses melee pages. He has Speed, Concussion, Respiration, Blunt Mastery, and Grit, which reduces the damage and stagger damage that he receives by 1. His deck consists of 3 Class and Respect and 3 new pages. Ferris Guard is a 1-cost defensive page similar to Cumulus Wall, but has a 1 higher roll average and loses the bleed. This page is pretty easy to ignore since a 2-5 slash isn't very threatening. Steel Knuckles is similar to Gale Kick from the Leo Association, but loses dice type consistency and some power for the page draw being on use and having a second die. Since this page is focused on utility, it's fairly easy to beat with most 2 and 3 costs. His unique page is Discipline. This is a 4-cost with 4 dice that nullifies power of itself and the page clashing into it. Additionally, the 4th dice is rolled 3 times, which kind of makes it a 6-dice page. Strong counter dice are your friends when clashing with this page, as there aren't many pages that have an evade on 3. For this act, I'd recommend killing Boris last, as although Discipline is quite threatening, his other pages are fairly easy to beat, and the pages he drops are quite good. The last act is against 2 generic Thumb Soldados, Katriel and Kalo. Katriel has the generic Soldado passives, Pierce Mastery, and Empowered First Shot, which boosts the power of the first dice of ranged pages. Her deck is identical to Dennis's. Kalo is a bit more interesting. Like Lowell, he has Speed 3, and like all of the Thumb personnel except Boris, he has Ammo Supply. But instead of Concentration, he gets Blind Fire, giving 2 power on the first scene instead. He also has Unrelenting and Pierce Mastery, as well as 2 unique passives. The Boss's Orders gives 1 protection to 2 random allies each scene, and 3-fold Tenacity gives every 3rd offensive die plus 1 power, and on the 4th scene and onwards, universally boosts offensive dice power instead. His deck consists of 2 Class and Respect, a Reload, Suppressing Shot, Bayonet Combat, Shock Round, Summary Judgement, and a new card, Le Rigole. This is a 3-cost with 2 fairly strong dice, having a 0.25 lower roll average and tailoring. Additionally, on use, all allies get a buff next scene that boosts their outgoing damage by 2, and it has a slightly above average block counter die. This page is fairly hard to clash into, but can be mitigated with defensive dice or a lot of power boosters. Again, for this act, killing the generic Soldados first is best in order to maximize Kalo and Katriel's emotion level, but if you're having trouble, killing Katriel first and Kalo second might make it easier. Keep in mind Kalo's Unrelenting passive, but at this point in the game, certain attacks can go through it and deal damage like 4th Match Flame. Since this reception is so long, you might want to bring additional sustain, especially since the Thumb has some pages that you're most likely just gonna have to tank, like Focus Fire. When building ammo decks, since you can't run Singleton due to ammo, you need to find alternative ways to draw cards. Reload is strong of course, but one of the best ways to draw cards and refill light are Hanafuda's passives, bottom deal, and stacking the deck. I'd go as far as to say that they're what makes ammo decks viable, as without it, you'll probably end up running 3 reload, 2 or 3 light regeneration, and only have 3 or 4 pages that can actually clash. Obviously, the best page for ammo decks is Kalo, as not only does he have Speed 3 and a built-in universal power booster, but he's the first page that has a starting max light of 4, which is a huge upgrade. My deck for Kalo consists of 2 Puppet Blockade, 2 Reload, 1 Bayonet Combat, 2 Summary Judgement, and 2 Focus Fire with bottom deal, stacking the deck, Best Choice, Fervor, and Electric Shock. This goes for Dennis and Katriel decks as well, of course. If I wasn't using General Reception passives, I'd run Battle Ready, additional supplies, and replace one of the Bayonet combats with another Puppet Blockade, or just ditch the ammo theme altogether and run a generic singleton deck with 1 Summary Judgement, Shock Rounds, or Focus Fire to expend any ammo you get from Ammo Supply. Boris is an interesting build. Since his passives don't give us a direction, we can look at his unique card Discipline. Since it rolls offensive dice 4 times, but also nullifies power, you can look to bring passives that increase damage or have effects that trigger on hit. You could also just build him like any generic librarian with singleton or otherwise. Individually, the generic cards you get for this reception are alright. First Guard is probably the worst one, being a 1-cost clashing page with no utility, but is still serviceable in defensive focused decks. Steel Knuckles sees a lot of use in endgame for solo strategies since it gives you a page draw and a counter die for 2 light, and you don't really care about the low power since you usually have 10 strength and other power boosters anyway. Otherwise, I think it's just fine. Since the rolls are low, it's kind of hard to justify using, especially since you most likely won't need to use the counter die. The Regal is probably their best generic card for standard play, with 2 strong dice with similar roll ranges to tailoring, but with an above average block counter and a passive that increases damage next scene. This page can fill out general value decks fine, but since it doesn't have any dice type consistency, I can't say it's optimal right now until you get more generic power boosting passives. One thing to note is that there are a few cheese strats that stack Le Regal to get absurd damage numbers from multiple instances of its passive, but that requires a couple more cards that we don't have access to yet. In the next video, in preparation for using her floor, we'll be fighting Bina's first abnormality, Big Bird. I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.